Welcome back, dear friends and students. We have already started with chapter number 8, Human Health and Disease. In this chapter, in the previous sessions, we have discussed what's the meaning of health, what is the meaning of disease, how to maintain the health, what are the different types of diseases, and we have discussed the few commonly occurring diseases in a human. Okay, so what diseases we have discussed till now? We have discussed typhoid, which is caused by bacteria. Another one what we discussed was pneumonia. The third one which was discussed is common cold. The fourth one what we have discussed is amoebiasis. Next what we have discussed is ascariasis, and last what we have discussed is filariasis, or you can also call it as elephantiasis. Okay, these two diseases, typhoid and pneumonia, that occurs by means of bacteria. Like typhoid is caused by Salmonella typhi, pneumonia is caused by Streptococcus pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza, and Pneumococcus pneumonia bacteria. Common cold, it occurs by virus. The rhinovirus, they have an important role in a common cold, or it causes a common cold. Amoebiasis, that is caused by a protozoa. The name is Entamoeba histolytica. So it is caused by a protozoa Entamoeba histolytica. Okay, and this is caused by ascariasis, that's caused by roundworm, and there is filariasis, it's caused by filarial worm. Okay, the transmission of this filariasis or elephantiasis, it needs a vector. Here the vector is mosquito. In case of amoebiasis, it also needs a vector. In amoebiasis, the vector is housefly. It acts as a vector. So these are the diseases what we have discussed in the previous session. Their causative agents, mode of transmission, signs and symptoms, all we have discussed. Okay. Now today we have to learn the other two diseases which are left, and they are, one is malaria, the most important one, and the second one is a ringworm. Okay. So we will discuss today these two disorders. One is malaria and the second one is ringworm. Okay. So let's start with the first disorder called as malaria. So let's start disorder malaria. Okay. So malaria, that is caused by a parasites. Which parasite is responsible for causing it? It is caused by a plasmodiums. There are different varieties of plasmodium, they are responsible for it. So usually the malaria is caused by plasmodium vivax. Second one is plasmodium malaria, and third one is it is caused by plasmodium falciparum. So these are the usually parasites what we found, they are responsible for causing the malaria. Which are the plasmodium vivax or P vivax, Plasmodium malaria or P malaria, Plasmodium falciparum or P falciparum. Okay, from these three, these are the three parasites which are responsible for causing a malaria. But the malaria which is caused by this Plasmodium falciparum, it is a most malignant malaria. It is capable of producing most malignant malaria, and that is fatal in nature. Okay, it is fatal in nature. Means it can also cause a death. We are fighting against the malaria since a long time. Now we have a medicines, but still it is occurring. It is a kind of an infectious disease that is spread through this parasite, a plasmodium. Okay, remember a thing, many of us are believing that the malaria is caused by a mosquito. It is not caused by mosquito. Here the causative agent is, which is the causative agent? The causative agent is parasite, the plasmodium. Plasmodium are responsible for causing the malaria. Yes, there is a role of a mosquito, but that mosquito is acting as a vector, means it just act as a carrier and help in the transport of this parasites. Okay, so in malaria, this is a mosquito is acting as a carrier, but it is mainly the main causative agent is parasite, the plasmodium. Okay, and from this plasmodium vivax, plasmodium malaria, and plasmodium falciparum, the most dangerous one is plasmodium falciparum. The malaria which is produced by it is also fatal in nature, or it may also result in a death of a human being. Okay, so this is about a causative agent. Now we have to see the life cycle of this parasite, how this life cycle occurs and how it is going to be spreaded. See, when you see the life cycle of this plasmodium it's a parasite, so it needs a host. It completes its life cycle in a host, and one of the host and a carrier is Anopheles mosquito. Okay, here more specifically I have to say that here the carrier is female Anopheles mosquito is acting as a carrier. Okay, so these parasites, they are present in their saliva. Okay, and then they are going to be transmitted from one person to another person. So let's see how it is going to be transmitted. That we will see by understanding the life cycle of this parasite. Okay, so see how this happens. When a female Anopheles mosquito bites. Okay, so what happens when the female Anopheles mosquito bites? Suppose the female Anopheles mosquito, it sits on your body. Okay, and then it bites. Okay, when it bites, whatever the content that is present in its saliva or mouth, they are released in our bloodstream, and it sucks up blood. It sucks up blood and it releases the content which is present in its mouth. So what is the content that is present? If this female Anopheles mosquito is a carrier and infected one, so it releases sporozoites in the blood. Okay, it releases the sporozoites in the blood. So when a female Anopheles mosquito bites, it releases the sporozoites. Sporozoites are the form of parasite, that is a plasmodium, what we have seen. It is a form of parasite or plasmodium. They are released into our blood. Okay, now you know that this blood is circulating in our body. It is continuously circulating in our body. So what happens? The sporozoites which are released in the blood, they are also circulating, and they enters in the liver. These sporozoites, they enter in the liver. Suppose assume that these are the sporozoites. Okay, so these sporozoites enter in the liver cell. What we call it as hepatocytes. The liver cell, the another name of liver cell, it is a hepatocyte. So it enters into a liver cell. Okay. Now in the liver cell, it multiply rapidly. Okay. These sporozoites, they multiply rapidly. So they multiply, that means a reproduction takes place. Here the type of reproduction takes place is a asexual reproduction takes place. Which kind of reproduction takes place? Asexual reproduction takes place. So now what happens? In the liver cell, suppose assume that I am showing this one liver cell. Okay. Here there is a presence of a parasite. Okay. Now this parasite grow up, means it multiply rapidly. Okay. And what happens? So here there is again they undergo asexual reproduction, means multiplication occurs. Again it will multiply. Okay, so their numbers are increasing by reproduction, and ultimately what happens, that will leads to a busting of a cell, because their numbers are increasing so high or so higher rate that it cannot accommodate in liver cell. So when the numbers are very high, that leads to a bursting of a cell. Ultimately it leads to a bursting of a cell, means the cell gets a burst, or this cell gets a rupture. Okay, and the parasites within it, they gets released. Okay, so the sporozoids present in liver cell released into blood. Okay, and this cycle it affect the many liver cells, and the liver cell gets a rupture, means the person who is suffering from this malaria, their liver is primarily going to be affected. Clear? So I again repeat what happens initially. When the female Anopheles mosquito bites a human being, it releases the sporozoid, a kind of a parasite, into a blood. Through a blood, that sporozoids enter into a liver cell. In the liver cell, they undergo asexual reproduction, means their numbers are increasing. When the numbers are increased at so much higher rate, or they become so very large, then the liver cell gets a burst, and it releases the sporozoids. Where it releases the sporozoids, which is present in the liver cell, they are released into a blood. Okay, in the blood, now we know the composition of a blood. In the blood, this sporozoid, it enters into RBCs. So the sporozoids enters into RBCs. Okay, and so what happens? It also ruptures the RBC in the same way. They also undergo asexual reproduction. Okay, and they also rupture the RBCs. Okay, they also rupture the RBCs. But while rupturing, it converts. Now you know that what the RBC contain. The RBC, it's a red blood cell. That is a red color. The red color of RBC is due to a presence of a hemoglobin. So what happens? The parasite reacts with it and it converts a hemoglobin into a toxic material that is called as hemozoin. So asexual reproduction, and the RBCs gets ruptured. Okay, when they undergo asexual reproduction, the numbers increases. They also leads to a rupture of RBC. Similarly, as the liver cell gets a rupture and converts hemoglobin into hemozoin. Remember, it converts hemoglobin into a hemozoin, a toxic substance. This is a toxic substance which is responsible for its symptoms like the chills and the fever. Okay, काफी ठंड लग रही है और the body temperature goes on increasing. That's a fever, and usually it is repeated every 3 to 4 days. After 3 to 4 days, again it subsides, again the fever occurs, and that chills and fevers are due to a formation of a toxic material called as a hemozoin. Okay, and it forms a hemozoin. Now what happens after this? Okay, after this what happens? When a mosquito or female Anopheles mosquito bites. Okay, but before this female Anopheles mosquito bites, what happens? The parasites which are released, I will show you one more step so it's easy for you. These sporozoids which are released from RBCs, the RBC gets ruptured and they release the sporozoids. They undergo a sexual reproduction. Clear? Okay, see here. In liver, it undergo asexual reproduction. in RBCs they also undergo asexual reproduction, but once after they're liberated from RBCs, they undergo sexual reproduction. And obviously, you know the two products of sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction involves a formation of a gametes, male gamete and the female gamete. So here that leads to a formation of male gamete, and the second one is female gamete. So in the blood, there is a formation of a male gamete and the female gamete in the blood. So this process occurs in blood of human being. Okay, it occurs in blood of human being. Okay. Now what happens? The male and the female gamete, I just note it down. This is a male gamete and this one is a female gamete. Okay. Now what happens when a female Anopheles mosquito bites such infected person? Now in that this human individual, there is a formation of male and the female gamete of these parasites. Now when another female Anopheles mosquito bites, obviously you know the role of mosquito. Mosquito is biting for the sucking of blood. But now the blood has these gametes, male and the female gametes. So they also going to be sucked out along with. So this gamete, the gametes enters into gut, means stomach of mosquito. The guts enter into a gametes enters into a gut of mosquito, where fertilization takes place. What takes place? Fertilization takes place. You know the meaning of fertilization. Fertilization means a fusion of male and female gamete. So the fusion of male and female gamete takes place in the gut of mosquito. It takes place in the gut of mosquito. Clear? Okay? So that fusion takes place. Now once they fuse, they become a mature. Okay? And once they become a mature, they enters into a mouth of mosquito. Mouth of a mosquito. When this mosquito bites some other person, okay, so it is transferred this parasites and transfer it to another person, and thus it is going to be transmitted. So this is a life cycle of malarial parasite, how they causes or how they are responsible for causes of malaria. Okay, I again repeat, the life cycle of malaria is very important one. Okay, so I again repeat how this disease is going to be spread. Suppose assume that I am a one person. A female Anopheles mosquito, this is a mosquito which sit on my body and it has bite. When the female Anopheles mosquito bites, its saliva contains sporozoids. Okay, these sporozoids are released in my blood. Okay, through a blood it enters into liver cell. In the liver cell, it undergoes asexual reproduction, means their numbers are increasing, and when their numbers are increasing, it leads to a busting of this liver cell. Liver cell gets burst. So the sporozoids which is present in this liver cell, they are released into a blood. Now in the blood, these sporozoids enters into RBC, red blood cell. In a red blood cell, again it undergoes asexual reproduction. Okay, obviously due to asexual reproduction, the numbers are increasing, they rapidly multiply. Same like liver cell, here RBC also gets ruptured, and they also leads to a conversion of hemoglobin present in RBC into a toxic material called as hemozoin. This hemozoin is responsible for causing the chills and fever, which is recurrently occurring at every 3 to 4 days. Okay, this is one of the signs and symptom of malaria. Now, these sporozoids which are released in it, they undergo sexual reproduction and it forms two gametes, male and female gamete. When some other mosquito sit on my body, some another mosquito sits on my body, so it sucks my blood, but now my blood has this gamete, male and female gamete. So this gamete enters into the mouth of mosquito and ultimately goes in the stomach of mosquito. So these gametes enters into a gut of mosquito. In the gut of mosquito, in the gut, they fuse together, means a fertilization takes place. That means a zygote, and ultimately it grows and becomes a mature. When it becomes a mature, that resultant fertilized product that comes in the mouth. Where it comes? Mouth of a mosquito. And this mosquito, when it bites to another person, that sporozoites are released in that person, and thus the malaria is going to be transmitted. Okay, so this is a life cycle of a malaria. Now if you see the life cycle of a malaria, then the life cycle of malaria, it needs a two hosts. See, this much step, it occurs in a human being, and these are the steps, this fusion, release, they occurs in a mosquito. Here there is a female, role of a female anopheles mosquito. Means a life cycle of parasite, it needs a two hosts. One is a human being and the second one is a mosquito. Okay, so this is a life cycle of this malaria or malaria parasite needs a two hosts to complete its life cycle. Without these two hosts, it cannot able to complete its life cycle. Okay, so the mosquito can act as a host. Human being can also act as a host for malarial parasite. Apart from host, the mosquito can also act as a vector or a carrier. See here the mosquito carries the sexual form of parasites. So here the mosquito can act as both host as well as carrier, or you can say a vector, and the human being that is just acting as a host. Okay, so that's all about a disease called as malaria. Okay, so clear students? Yes. Okay, so we have finished this one disorder, malaria. Last infectious disorder that is left, and it is ringworm. So let's start a ringworm. So now we are starting with another disorder, an infectious disorder, and the name of this infectious disorder is ringworm. Okay, it is a ringworm. Okay, that is caused by a fungi. Okay, it is caused by a fungi. Which fungi they are responsible for causing this ringworm? Usually, the fungi of this group, they are responsible for causing a ringworm. Which are they? Microsporum, epidermophyton, and trichophyton. Of this group, they are responsible for causing a ringworm. Clear? So remember, ringworm is an infectious disease that is caused by a fungi. Fungi of which group? Microsporum, epidermophyton, and the trichophyton. They are responsible for causing the disease called as a ringworm. Okay. Now, what are the symptoms they are going to be appear? So here the symptoms that is going to be appear is there is an appearance of dry, scaly lesions on some body parts. Okay, so what it leads? It leads to a formation of a dry, scaly lesions. Okay, on some body parts. Like usually the body parts which are going to be affected are nails, skin, scalp. These are the parts which are going to be affected, and that forms a formation of dry, scaly lesion. I can give you a very good example that you might have seen, a dandruff. What is a dandruff? Dandruff is another type of a fungal infection. It is caused by an epidermophyton. Okay, it's caused by an epidermophyton. So in a dandruff there is a formation of dry scaly lesions. You can see a white flecks are going to be formed. What they are? The same type of symptoms they are going to be occurred in a ringworm, because it also affects nails, skin and scalp, and on this region of body there is an appearance of dry scaly lesions on some body parts. Okay, this condition is promoted by heat and moisture. Okay, wherever in our body part there is a kind of condition called as heat and moisture, it favors the growth of fungi. It favors the growth of fungi. Like in certain regions where there is a presence of moisture or sweat, okay, in that region this fungi can easily grow. Like for an example, in armpit, in growing region, these are the fungi which can easily grow up because the heat and moisture, it favors its growth. Okay, so it is necessary that you have to clean or keep your body clean and neat, so this fungi doesn't grow on your body parts. Okay, wherever the part where there is a presence of heat and moisture, like in the region called as armpit or the growing region, okay, this fungi can easily grow up. Okay, so this is one way how you can prevent from this disease. This disease usually sprayed by, how this is going to be sprayed by? It is going to be sprayed by using towels, or you can say utensils, or clothes, or comb of infected person. Okay, so those persons which are infected with this ringworm, if you use the clothes or comb, or you can say that the towels of such person, then this ringworm is going to be spreaded from one person to another person. Okay, one way to get rid from such kind of a disease, you have to maintain a distance from that person and don't use the things which are used by that infected person. Okay, even the use of a comb, that is also causing a fungal infection. So those persons who are suffering from a dandruff, they should not give that comb to another person, otherwise that fungal infection also spreads to another person. Okay, so this is a ringworm. If you see its usual symptoms, what is the usual symptoms? Wherever there is an appearance of dry scaly lesions at that location, it causes intense itching. This is usually symptoms which are going to be appear in this one, ringworm. It causes intense itching. Okay, and this is a symptom of ringworm. Clear? So it is caused by fungi, microsporum, epidermophyton and trichophyton. They are responsible for it. What is the signs? That it causes appearance of dry scaly lesions on some body parts, specifically on nail, skin, scalp. Heat and moisture, they favors and promotes the growth of this fungi, like in the region of armpit and the groin region. The such kind of conditions are there. So these are the usual locations where this fungi can easily grow up. It is also going to be sprayed by the using the things of the infected person, like the things like towels, utensils, cloth and the comb of infected person. This spreads that disease. Okay. Next, the sign is usually intense itching, whichever the area that gets affected. Okay, so this is a ringworm, a fungal infection. Okay, so we have discussed this much disorders. First, typhoid. Second, pneumonia. Third, common cold. Fourth, amoebiasis. Fifth, ascariasis. Sixth, filariasis or elephantiasis. Seventh, malaria. And eighth, ringworm. Okay, this much infectious disorder. These all are the infectious disorder. Means they are caused by some type of a pathogens. Okay, or causative organism. And we have discussed these diseases. Now the ultimate point is that we have discussed the diseases. Now the ultimate point is that we have to protect ourselves against that diseases. Okay, so how we can protect? We can protect ourselves by keeping our immunity intact. Our immunity should be good enough so we get protected from such kind of a pathogens. But that we will discuss in the next session. what is immunity, what are different types of immunity, and how we protect you against pathogens or infectious disease. Okay, like also you know that in the current pandemic situation of coronavirus, how you are protecting yourself against this coronavirus? One, that is maintain a social distance. This is the first way. And the second one is you are boosting up or you are keeping your immunity in a good conditions. Because when your immunity is in a good conditions, it protects your body against such kind of pathogens and infectious diseases. Okay, so in this case also you have to keep your immunity good in conditions, and that we will discuss how you can keep your immunity in good condition and what are the components in the next section. But here, before these microbes enters in our body, once it enters then our immunity works. But before it enters in our body, we have to take certain steps so it doesn't enters into our body. And so that's why we always say that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. So what are the preventive steps that can be taken to so that this disease does not occur in a human being or it doesn't spread to another human being? So let's discuss a precautionary measures or maintenance measures which prevent you to get infected from these diseases. So prevention measures. How we can prevent the occurrence of this disease? Usually, if the diseases can be prevented by main three things. First one is you take a regular diet, or you can say more specifically you can say a balanced diet. Take a good quality and quantity of a food. Second, personal hygiene. Hygiene is most important. Okay, and third one is a regular exercise. But here, the most important thing is to maintain a personal and public hygiene. Personal hygiene and to maintain public hygiene. If you maintain this personal and public hygiene, many infectious disease does not spread. Specifically like in the case of ringworm. Such kind of a diseases does not spread if you maintain the personal and public hygiene. How can you maintain this personal hygiene? What are the different ways by which you can maintain a personal hygiene? Personal hygiene, your self hygiene. Keep your body clean. Clear. Keep regularly your body clean or keep body clean. Okay. Next, consume clean and fresh water, food, vegetables, fruits, etc. Clean, healthy, nutritious, fresh fruit, water, food, vegetables and fruits, etc. you have to take. Your personal hygiene is going to be maintained. Clear? So how you can maintain your personal hygiene? Keep your body clean, clean enough, neat, okay, and consume clean water, food, vegetables, fruits, etc. And thus you can maintain a personal hygiene. Now there is a public hygiene or mass. Okay, so how can you maintain this mass hygiene? So remove or there is a proper disposition of excreta, human waste like urine, feces, okay, spit, proper disposition. Okay, you should not have to spit anywhere. Okay, because that affect the public hygiene, and when the public hygiene gets affected, obviously the chances of occurrence of disease are very high. So disposition of excreta in a proper way, whatever the proper way, that has to be adopted. A second way, that's regular cleaning of water reservoirs like ponds, lake, your tank that is present on your terrace, that should be regularly cleaned, okay, or the tank which is present in your village, because it is supplying the water to many places or every home in your village, so that should be cleaned regularly, and thus we can maintain the public hygiene. Okay, so this is a way by which we can maintain a personal hygiene and the public hygiene. Okay, next, so such kind of infectious disease does not occur. Next, there are also some diseases which are caused by food and water, contaminated food and water. Like see the example, typhoid. Typhoid is caused by contaminated food and water. Or see amoebiasis, okay, that is caused by a contaminated food and water. Or dysentery, that is caused by a contaminated. In that cases, you have to keep a fresh food which is present at your home. Okay, so avoid the junk food or the fast foods that are selling at the roadsides or which are just open food. Okay, that should be avoided because they are unhealthy for body. Okay, so that kind of a food. So those diseases which are spread by such contaminated water and food, that can be prevented by consuming a clean, fresh food and water. Avoid open food and the water. Okay, because they are the source of or diseases. Okay, so that is about the diseases which are transmitted through a contaminated food and water. Now the diseases which are transmitted through air, like for an example pneumonia, or you can say a common cold, or in current situation a corona, that is spread by a airborne. They are the airborne diseases transmitted through air. So how would you prevent this? That keep the distance from that infected person, like what we are saying, the social distancing. Okay, keep the distance from that infected person. Do not utilize the things which are utilized by an infected person. Okay, suppose a pen that is utilized by a infected person of common cold, that should not be utilized by someone else, because this pen which has been utilized by infected person might have a viruses of common cold, rhinovirus, and that may affect the another individual. So in such cases, those diseases like pneumonia, common cold which spread by air, in that cases you have to maintain the distance from infected individuals, and then you don't have to utilize the things of an infected person. Okay, so that is about a foodborne disease, food and waterborne disease, airborne disease. Now there are some diseases which are caused by vectors, like see amoebiasis, it is caused by housefly. Okay, malaria is spread by a vector called as mosquito. So in that what we call it as vector-borne diseases like amoebiasis, or you can say a malaria. In that case, you have to keep a control over the numbers of this vector. Number of housefly, number of mosquito should not be higher in numbers, because when they are in higher in number, the chances of biting and infection is very high. Okay, because they are the carrier, they are the vectors for transmission of a diseases. So we have to keep the numbers of this vector limited, like housefly and mosquito numbers, that has to be controlled. And how we can control? We can use insecticides, because this insecticides, they kills these insects, housefly, mosquito. Okay, we should use insecticides. In case of mosquito, the water is a medium for the growth. Okay, you know that mosquito easily grows in the stagnant water. Okay, steady water, in the steady water they can easily grow up. So in that case of a stagnant water, we try to clean this stagnant water. So clean tanks, water coolers, because in water cooler there is also stagnant water, or you can say ponds, where are some ponds, or you can say pit holes instead of pit holes. In the monsoon, in these pit holes, the water gets accumulated, and so you can regularly clean such kind of things where the water becomes stagnant or they are steady. Okay, so such kind of a thing has to be clean. Or you can also use mosquito nets as a protective measure or preventive measures, so the mosquito doesn't enter in your home. Okay, so you can also use the mosquito nets or the wire meshes. You can also keep on your windows and doors so the mosquito cannot easily enter in your home. Okay, now there is a one very innovative technique, that is you can also use a fish. The name of fish is gambusia fish. Why we are using this gambusia fish? It's a fish, and you know that fish is growing in a water, and mosquito also needs a water as their growth. So what we do, we releases this fish in the water, gambusia fish. This fish eat the larvae of or the eggs of mosquito. So the life cycle of this mosquito gets disturbed. Okay, newer mosquito doesn't get produced because that larvae of this mosquito or the eggs of this mosquito is eaten by this fish. That eggs or larvae of mosquito are the food for that fish, so the fish eats them. Okay, and we gets protected. Okay, a gambusia fish. Okay, so you can control. I will also tell you the another mosquito which is responsible for causing the disease. You know the one name, female Anopheles mosquito, that is responsible for causing a malaria. But you also have to remember this mosquito name. Okay, see, this is another mosquito which is responsible for causing. Its name is Aedes mosquito. Which one? It's a Aedes mosquito, and this Aedes mosquito is responsible for causing dengue and chikungunya. So dengue and chikungunya, they are caused by which mosquito? This is a mosquito which is responsible for causing dengue and chikungunya. Which mosquito? Aedes mosquito is responsible for causing the dengue and chikungunya. Okay, so you have to remember this name. Okay, because the mosquito of dengue usually bites in the morning, and they are somewhat different from this other mosquitoes. Okay, so what you can do in case of a vector-borne diseases, you have to keep the control of insects, that may be fly or it may be mosquito. How you can control it? By using the insecticides, by regular cleaning of tanks, water coolers, pit holes where there is a reservoir of water or stagnant water. You can also use the mosquito nets because it prevents the entry of mosquito in your house, or you can also use the wire meshes on doors and windows, that also do the same. You can also use the gambusia fish because the gambusia fish, it consume or it feeds on the larvae and the gametes or eggs of mosquito, and the numbers they kept in a control. Okay, another mosquito which is causing the disease is a Aedes mosquito. The Aedes mosquito is responsible for causing dengue and chikungunya. Okay, so today we have discussed two infectious disorder, malaria, ringworm, and we have also discussed a preventive strategies by which you can control the or spread of infectious disease. You can maintain a personal and public hygiene. For waterborne and foodborne disease, you eat clean, fresh food. Do not eat open food present at the street. Okay. Airborne disease, keep the distance and don't utilize the things which are utilized by infected persons. For vector-borne disease, these are the measures you can take. Okay, so that's all about the diseases. In the next session, as I have already told you, that we will discuss the immunity by which you can protect your body. Okay, so till then, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching once again. Thank you.